What happens at laser tag never stays at laser tag.
Laser Unfocused Tag Talk.
Laser Unfocused Tag Talk.
I feel like you could be like in Ghostbusters or something.
Oh my God, you have got some stories.
Let's talk about laser tag.
Who knew you were a laser tag legend?
Time to get laser unfocused. Tag Talk with Tivia.
Welcome to Laser Unfocused Tag Talk. Hi, I'm Tivia. In an ever-changing world, operating a laser tag center may not always be easy, but it certainly can be fun. This episode, join me as I talk with Jim Mainardi, owner of Laser One in Wantage, New Jersey, as he shares stories from 15 years operating a laser tag business. I'd like to welcome my guest, who is Jim Mainardi. He is the owner of Laser One Laser Tag Arena in Wantage, New Jersey. Hey, Jim, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Excellent.
Good.
So you are an operator of basically a standalone laser tag arena. You've got an arcade, of course, and you've got food, but your main attraction is laser tag. And so I'd love to talk with you a little about, how you kind of got started in the industry and built your business to what it is. And were you a laser tag player before you had a site of your own?
Well, we've been open for 15 years now. And we never really actually planned on being a laser tag facility. Our family business was always in commercial real estate. And when I finished college, the family was like, well, I guess you're going to tail Uncle Bill for a while, which I did. And one of the tenants in one of the shopping centers owned by the company that my father and uncle owned was a play center, so ball pits and batting cages and that kind of thing. And they were having a tough time of it. So what we ended up doing was bringing me in and taking over the business and hiring that owner to be our manager. And we kept the play center and disassembled the batting cages and used those materials to build our laser tag arena. And that's how we got started. The laser tag the reason why we chose laser tag was because of the broad appeal to all ages, all celebrations, and so not just birthdays. It could be anything, corporate events or graduations of boys, girls, men, women, whatever gender you choose. It appeals to everybody. And so that's really why we chose laser tag. And boy, what a phenomenal journey. 15 years later, I never really gave it much of a thought because at the time I was fresh out of college, but really, really was a huge blessing to fall into this opportunity the way it is, because I love this industry.
Well, that's really interesting that you weren't a player to begin with. So what was it that first made you say laser tag is the attraction we're putting in here?
It really was just the appeal. We won. The two great things about the laser tag are obviously that it appeals to all ages, all genders, but also it's not turn-based. So much of recreation is even batting cages. You wait your turn, then you take your turn. Mini golf, same deal. You're taking your turn. Bowling, you wait your turn, you take your turn. But laser tag engages and really immerses everybody all at once. So it's not one person having fun; it's everybody having fun. And that's what between that and honestly the labor expense relative to the number of customers you're serving, which is much more relevant now than it was 15 years ago, but that was also a consideration. But that was obviously a really good decision because we never ever regretted it.
Now, you operate now with Darklight equipment. Have you always operated with Darklight, and what made you go that route?
Oh man, we opened with the system we're still using. So we are using 15-year-old equipment, which is hat tip to Jimmy Haycraft out in England, because he built a really durable system. So most people, 15 years, when we went to IAPA, we talked to a bunch of different manufacturers, and of 15 years, people were looking at us like, how are you even able to like stay open? And that's because Darklight it's a heavy pack, It's leather, which you don't really see any of the other manufacturers using leather, which is very durable material. But one of the biggest deciding factors for choosing Darklight 15 years ago was it was the most fun. We literally traveled around the United States, playing as many different systems as we could, talking to as many operators as we could, figuring out what like how does this industry work? What's it like? And Darklight was tremendously fun, coupled with we really at the time Darklight had a unique ability to create our own games. I think a lot of manufacturers have moved to that now, but at the time that was a unique flexibility that we wanted to be able to have, and also that Darklight has had wireless charging. So I know we run V5. I never played V3, but at the time V5 with the wireless charging was hands down the idea that you could just play and do a lock-in overnight and then open early for a private event and then play all day and never have to worry about your batteries getting even close to drained. Or if you have some dope poor 14-year-old Marshall who just forgets because it's 11 o'clock at night to plug in your batteries and you're out of business the next day, we didn't have to worry about that. So between how fun it was, the flexibility in creating our own games, and the wireless charging, those were the three main considerations for us.
Well, getting up and running 15 years ago is probably a whole different kettle of fish than maybe it is now, or maybe it's not. But what did you experience that, maybe were your challenges getting started, or some things that you remember from back then that you think might be different today?
Boy, the industry has changed a lot over the last 15 years. 14 years ago was 2008. So there was a little recession immediately after we opened. That probably would have affected us worse if we had been open for longer, but because we were still new and we were still like the newest, the most exciting thing in town, I don't think that it affected us as poorly as it could have. Honestly, our biggest challenge opening 15 years ago was I was a kid. I didn't know what I was doing. I was hiring people that were barely younger than I was, and so I didn't know how to hire kids, and I didn't know how to manage people, and I learned by getting burnt, and that was tough. Like my uncle said, you take your lumps, and he's 100% right. I took my lumps, and just getting older has helped, but I didn't really, that was the biggest challenge. I didn't know what I was doing. And although I didn't have, obviously for 15 years, I've been creating resources and creating culture. And right now I'm riding that experience that I didn't have. I had to, I guess, manufacture it in a way. So that was difficult. How that would change now? Well, I'll tell you, at least in New Jersey, or if we were to build a facility now, we would have to build a restaurant, but with New Jersey and not allowing gaming with alcohol unless you're the size of Dave and Buster's with 100 games and a certain amount of square footage. It would take a much larger investment than what we had to make 15 years ago. And that is, I mean, obviously we're looking at it because we're 15 years old, and if we're going to reinvest in the business, you can't, what is it? You can't put new wine in old wineskins. So, if we're just going to buy new laser tag equipment, whatever it is that we're going to do, we have to decide what we're going to do in conjunction with that. And, that's a hell of a decision, because in a way it's going to be kind of like a reopening. I think that's the way I want to run it. But while I'm the operations manager and the face of the business, my dad and my uncle are my partners. So this is a three-man conversation, although they give me all the room that I need to do really whatever I want to do. And that's great, because I guess they trust me. Obviously we've been open 15 years, so I know what I'm doing at least a little bit. But man, I'm glad we opened when we did, because there's some big challenges facing new businesses now that I didn't have to worry about.
So many laser tag arenas are now
kind of being incorporated into the bigger family entertainment center model. You referenced Dave and Buster's. Like, how do you think that impacts a standalone arena?
You know, it seems from what I have spoken to other people and read that the standalone laser tag arena is the old business model. And in a way, I think that's tragic, and I don't think that that's true. And that's not pride. That's I'm experiencing growth right now. I know our industry in general. If we were able to weather the storm with all the forced closings of our businesses and all the, oh my gosh, even when you reopen, everyone was afraid to come out and play, and everybody was mistrusting other people, and that was really tough. If we were able to weather that storm right now, anybody who was able to weather that, our industry's experiencing tremendous growth. And I mean, I am a standalone laser tag center, and we are doing well. So I don't know that I 100% get on board with the fact that a standalone laser tag center is the old business model. I know that I do understand that if you're going to attract an older demographic, you do need to have beer and wine and liquor if it's available in your area. But in New Jersey, it's not, unless you're Dave and Buster's. So I don't have to worry about that. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I am successful as a standalone laser tag. But I do think that, and I've told this to my staff many times, anybody with a couple $1 million can open a laser tag center or any family entertainment center, out of home entertainment. But it's the people that you hire. It's your staff that makes all the difference. And I think that maybe one of the reasons why we're continuing to thrive is because my people are the best. They really are. Not because I choose them, but because the culture that we together, along with the people I've hired, have just built up. It feels like family. And it seems cliche, but if you've ever visited us, you know there's more than just a paycheck there. There's friendship and there's encouragement that you don't see in many other environments, and in many other working environments. So I don't think that business model is everything. I think that a lot of it is just the culture that you build amongst the team and the people that you bring to represent your brand. And we've been very successful at that. So I think for the standalone laser tag center, if you do it well, I think you do better than if you're doing a little bit of everything pretty good. That's my attitude anyway. But we've been successful, so I don't think it's foolish.
No, I think a lot of times my experience has been with many standalone locations. It feels like there's more of a sense of community, and that can be maybe amongst the players, maybe amongst the staff, maybe amongst the combination of the two. But I know you recently had a staff reunion. So
yeah, we did.
Maybe talk to me about, the people who've worked with you over 15 years and some stories that they might tell about
that. Was the stories. I don't know if I want to share those, but I'll tell you, the hardest part was really just getting in touch with everybody. Because people's email addresses, man almighty, like a third of them bounced, and everybody was a teenager when they worked for me, and their cell phone numbers changed. And frankly, I've had hundreds of kids work for me over the last 15 years, and I didn't really want to send hundreds of texts, so I tried to figure out the best way to reach the most number of people. But we ended up having 75 people come out, which was, it was so much fun. So we closed early on Friday, Memorial Day weekend. Memorial Day weekend's pretty slow for us anyway, especially if the weather is nice, which it was. So we closed at 8, and we had our event from 8 to 11, and I pulled out the barbecue and grilled out back, and we had burgers and barbecue fare. And of course, so since it was from 8 p.m. to 11 p.m., we ended up, I wanted to go home at 12:30, so we left. It was just so much fun seeing. I mean, they were kids when they worked for me, and now some of them are in their 30s, and bring them all back under the same roof and they act like they're 17 again, which I think is good. Everybody needs to have that moment in their life. But it was cool. Stories. I think that most of the time we just laugh at the things we found. Like when one particular group left and we found a tooth on the sink in the bathroom covered in blood. Yeah, I know, right? Or when somebody took a dump in our arena and one of our marshals found it by stepping in it, and who had to clean that, and all the fun, exciting. That's the kind of stories that we share, is because those are the unusual things that you would never even expect to encounter in your life, let alone at your first job at a laser tag and birthday party center. So those are the kinds of stories that I think every time we get together, we'll still tell the same stories because they're so outrageous, but hilarious nonetheless. That's what we talked about, I think. But everybody caught up with everybody. It was fun. We made name tags and we put the years that everybody was working, because at this point, I hire kids between like 14 and 16-year-olds, not because I choose that age, but that's just the age of most of the people who apply. And so that's most of the age of the people who work for me, but they stay with me for way longer than they should. They outgrow the job, but I think they like the environment. So they'll get a second job and continue coming in for weekends with me. And for as long as they'll continue coming to work, I will absolutely accommodate any schedule that you need me to accommodate, because my people are important to me. And so a lot of them were with me for like 3, 4, 5 years. But a lot of them, so they come out and I hire every single month. I hire new people. So there's like a month or two of overlap, but when you're brand new at a new job, when there's 30 to 40 kids on staff, you don't really know everybody, and then people leave and you never think about them again. And so having the dates of employment on the name tags, I think that was also a catalyst for conversation. And so it was just, there was never a moment where people were wondering what's next. It was, we had sign up sheets, create your own laser tag teams. And I told my current staff was invited too, obviously, because they're a huge part of our community. And nobody was clocked in. I just ran the whole entire thing myself. But I told my current staff, there's no way you could beat these guys in laser tag. You think you're good. You haven't seen nothing. And I got to hand it to them. We played 4 missions. We played the old staff against the new staff. We had to split them all up, but they won half. 2 out of 4. My current staff won. I played with my current staff, and we recruited Ryan Presti to play with the current staff too. Otherwise, we wouldn't have won. But it was still way fun, and I was really proud. I was really proud of the people who had come and gone and come back, and really proud of my current staff, because that's intimidating. Seeing a bunch of people who knew your job perhaps better than you do coming through here, I would expect that that's intimidating. But that's to the character of the people that work for us. So I can't really take much credit for that.
Well, that's awesome. And I think that, what you're describing really just kind of drives home that whole, you're creating a community. And having visited your site, I know that you've got a player base of community as well. What do you think brings somebody in and keeps them coming back time and time and time and time and time again? Like some of the, you don't have members exactly, but you do have a base of regular players who come out, it seems.
I do. You know what? I honestly don't know. I know that we treat our players with respect, our customers with respect, because I guess because even though it's never really been said, it's important that we treat everyone with respect, our own staff. And I think that starts, if an operator doesn't treat his staff with respect, the staff is not going to respect the operator, is not going to respect the institution, is not going to respect the customers. So I think that really is what it comes down to. And our customers come back to us probably because we really genuinely appreciate them, but also because our laser tag is fun. If we had crap, they wouldn't come back even if they liked us, because they have entertainment dollars that they want to spend to actually enjoy themselves. And if they come back, then that means that we're doing what we really are here for. Well, because if we weren't fun, doesn't matter. Nobody goes to somewhere because you like the people, even though the place stinks. At least I don't do that. Maybe you do.
No, I want to have a good experience.
That's what I thought. Okay.
And I want to have a memorable experience. And over the course of 15 years, you kind of hinted to a couple of stories, but I want to know, what are the funniest moments that come to your mind over the 15 years? What crazy things have happened at your arena? Anybody get married there?
I have had two two customers met. They had gone to high school together, but split ways, and then we're both at Laser One at the same time, I think through a mutual friend, and rekindle a friendship, and they ended up getting married. And you met him. It was Top Hat. His name is Joe. And he's I take credit for that. Thank you. And I was also one of the most responsible young ladies I ever hired. Her name is Allie. She met her husband working at Laser One, but he was one of our regular customers. I'm still waiting for the day that I have two people on staff who met each other at Laser One get married. I had two people just this past summer get married to each other who worked for me, but they were already dating when they applied. So that I don't think that quite counts, but I'm happy to have played a role in their life. Craziest stories. I got to think the most recent crazy story would have been last summer. We had a very large camp come, and they're kosher, so they wanted to bring their own food. And because we're not a kosher facility, and so if we can't accommodate that, so that's something that you're welcome to bring in whatever it is that you need. And as long as you add on arcade, we don't charge a cleanup fee for that. And they brought, like 270 people, which is by fire code we could fit them, but realistically you can't really. I don't have seating for 270. So what we ended up doing was setting up tables and chairs in the parking lot, and they ate outside in the parking lot, and then we were swapping them in with the indoors so that inside wasn't too packed, and they were happy to eat outside anyway. It was a beautiful night, thankfully. And they trashed that parking lot so bad, it took 9 people an entire hour to clean outside after they were done. That was hilarious in hindsight, but at the time everybody was so pooped, and we went outside, and it was absolutely bombed, and there was like a spackle pail full of this yellow liquid, and everybody was really terrified. I think it was pickle juice, but that was definitely not the rumor that was swirling. And nobody wanted to touch it, and I think that anybody who's worked any kind of food service knows that the cleanup is when you find all the goodies, and that was probably the hardest cleanup we ever had. And in hindsight, it's funny, but at the time that was so frustrating. I don't know. Other than the tooth in the bathroom and the poop in the arena, I guess we used to get a lot more mischief, but as soon as kids started getting smartphones, bored kids were no longer as destructive, because bored kids would just bury themselves in their phones, which I think in a way is, as a business owner, that's pretty nice, because I used to have to patch holes all the time. But I think it's kind of disappointing, because that's not why you come out. But for what it's worth, most of our war stories, the worst ones, are from years and years and years ago. And my staff would be able to tell you better ones than I would, probably.
Well, I would love to hear any stories you've got. And I want to think about, like, what's the most absurd thing that somebody's ever said or done? And maybe flip that around too. What's the most absurd thing you've ever said or done in response to something that's happened at Laser Tag?
Oh my gosh. We used to do Attack of the Zombies. So soon after we opened, probably around 2000 would have been probably Halloween 2009, Halloween 2010. Those 2 years, maybe 2008, 2009. But for 2 years, we had a haunted house in our facility, like a legit haunted house. Some guy approached us and said, I have a haunted house in my home. The fire department in our town said we can't do that, so can we do something in conjunction with you? And we were like, well, that sounds interesting. Yeah, totally. So we brought him in, and for 2 years, I'm a wimp, so I'm probably a bad gauge of these things, but this guy knew how to terrify people, and he built a mansion in the empty, like the vacant tenant space next to, like adjacent to us, and people would access it through our observatory, our arena viewing room. And he literally built a mansion, and it was horrifying. He ended up being so successful, he moved on to other things, like bigger venues, I suppose. I don't know. All I know is that we couldn't fit him anymore. So that was disappointing, but I wanted to ride that haunted house wave. So what we ended up doing was making a variation of it called Humans versus Zombies. So on the Fridays in October, we had actors come in and we did the liquid latex and the liquid blood. What do you call that? The fake blood. It's minty fresh, by the way, if you were wondering. And we would have zombies put on laser tag vests, and we created a laser tag game where all the paying customers would be on the human side, so they would be blue, and the zombies were red. And in the arena, we hired a voice actor to redo all of our arena announcements. So instead of just the standard, if you've played Darklight, you're familiar with the voice of the 5-minute warning and the blue team takes the lead. We had a voice actor redo humans take the lead, or zombies are annihilating the human race. And those zombies had so much fun. But the problem is, because every single Friday they were in for 6-7 hours playing laser tag. By the end of the second year, they were so good at laser tag that the humans were, I couldn't give enough power-ups to the humans to actually, they couldn't win. They simply couldn't win. And you met one of those zombies, KC, who won your tournament for the Tag for a Cause. He was one of our zombies. So I said, it's like riding a bike. Laser tag's like riding a bike. You never lose it. Obviously, I hadn't seen him in forever, and he came in for December for our tournament and won, and then came in for your thing and won. That's hilarious because I hadn't seen him since he was a kid. And so those were fun times. Clean after we closed up, we had to clean all the fake blood off the laser tag vests for the next day. Because thankfully we did a good job. I never had any complaints, but I got to think, if you're a mom and you come in and like your kid comes out covered in blood because the pack wasn't clean, that's got to be horrifying. We really were afraid of that, so we cleaned those things pretty good. Those guys would have some fun stories too, because they would creep up on the customers and have a blast. I really, really enjoy my job. I think that in the end, when I have a bad day at Laser One, which everybody has those at work, I don't like to. Obviously, nobody likes them. But one of the things that keeps me going is, on a bad day for me, I've ruined someone's birthday party, which is sad, and I take that seriously. Obviously, if I didn't, I shouldn't be doing this. But I'm not crashing the stock market or invading a country. A bad day for me is something that doesn't end the world, and I'm grateful for that. That's one of the reasons why I love my job so much. Is I take it very seriously, and if I were doing something more serious than this, I probably would have melted down by now.
Well, that's a really good point, because there's very little you can't turn around, even in the way of, worst case scenario, hey, you get a free game now. So
I suppose
everything's fixable.
We had a guy break his tooth on a pretzel because one of my staff had put in a pretzel in the beginning of the day in the warmer, and just it dried out, and they served it. He literally broke his tooth on a pretzel. I mean, and at the time I was really aggravated by that, and that stinks because nobody wants to break a tooth. But even then, that's not life ending. I took it seriously, and you would want me to, I expect, but it helps me keep me grounded,
Gotcha. Well, going back to inside the arena, I think that's really cool what you are talking about whenever you can incorporate some kind of a new element, or the character acting is awesome. But just on a regular everyday basis, there's, I'm sure, fascinating things that happen all along. And I wonder if you've got any moments that you couldn't repeat that again if you tried. Anything really unusual stand out like that?
We had one guy, he claimed he came out and he was holding a board, and he claimed that a piece of the arena fell off and hit him, and he had all these scrapes on him. And I was like, I built this arena. I was literally in there with the nail gun. I had the circular saw cutting the pieces of MDF. I know this arena. And he was holding this board, and I'm looking at it, and I recognized it. And it was a flat out lie. What he had done is he had scaled the wall of the first floor of our arena, because we have a multi-level arena, and found a little nook on the second story where he could crouch on it, and it wasn't part of the maze. And he was able to just snipe people from there. And what he had ended up doing was walking off the edge of it and falling a whole story to the ground.
Oh.
And the board that he was holding was the nook that he was standing on. Below it was particularly dark, so I had put a single LED. It's a trailer light. So if you're familiar with like a tractor trailer, you know it has those little red lights along the ridges. They're little like maybe 2-inch LEDs. They're low voltage. They take like 12 volts or 9 volts like that. So I just screwed a board down with like one screw and screwed the LED to the underside of that just to give a little bit of light to that corner so that nobody would like slam into the wall at the end of it. And he walked off the edge of the second story and stepped on that, which was held down by one screw because it was only meant to hold a little teeny low voltage light. And that's what he obviously took that down with him, and that's what he was holding in his hands. And I'm like, you jerk, you totally didn't have the arena fall on you. You fell off the arena, you putz.
Now, what were you doing up there anyway?
Yeah, well, that made me mad. Like, what the hell, man? I guess if you're gonna cheat and then you get caught, at least own it. Like, all right, I was trying to find a good spot. Clearly, it was a bad idea. Thank goodness he didn't get hurt. He just had scrapes from his trip to the ground. But that was people are dumb. What they'll do just to get ahead in laser tag. That's kind of amusing.
All right, so that guy's obviously breaking the rules. I want to know, Beth up here, what rule are you most notorious for breaking in laser tag?
When we get together I didn't even have to think about this. We get together every month and do an employee night. So we make pizza. I make pizza. We used to go out into the parking lot and throw the frisbee around for an hour, but when we got shut down for COVID, we didn't get together for a while. Even after we were allowed to reopen, I was really nervous about getting the staff together. Because if the whole staff gets together and somebody gets sick, now I got to shut down. So I tried to keep the shifts, like everybody's working with the same people, and I tried to keep everyone separate for a while. And then when we finally started doing our employee nights again, the frisbee tradition died, which is tragic because ultimate frisbee is fun. You can include fast people and slow people and all kinds of people because the frisbee is a kind sport. But we would play laser tag as well, and that's when we play our more advanced games because for one, my staff is too good to be playing team basic all the time. But for another thing, when a customer comes in having read the website and says, "Hey, I want to play the Rush," my staff will be able to say, "Oh, hey, I've played that." Now, obviously, I got a cheat sheet for them to read if they aren't familiar with the game, but it's helpful if they're familiar with the game. So we play our more advanced games at employee night, and we played Capture the Flag, which is a game type that Darklight released that we don't play with our customers because it encourages running dreadfully so. You have, I think, like you have 5 energy or 6 energy to capture a 3-credit flag and bring it back and deposit it at your base at the other end of the arena with another 3 credits. So basically, you need to be able to get 6 credits with 6 energy. And once you have this flag, your pack starts singing and it's blinking and everybody knows you have the flag. So you have to run like hell to the other corner of the arena. And I was not walking. And I ran full tilt right into one of my staff, and he was, I don't know how, because I have mass, and he just sent me flying. I was airborne, and I slammed against the wall, and I was okay. But I tend to run, especially in the staff games, because it's a very competitive environment, and that's not something that I would encourage my customers to do. As a matter of fact, we kick our customers out for doing that. So I'm a bad example on that.
But you were honest. I appreciate it.
Oh my gosh.
That
yeah,
was
I didn't have to
question.
think. I remember. He sent me flying, man. That hurt.
Well, there's experience behind that rule then.
Oh yeah, for sure. For a reason.
Do you have a laser tag collection of any sort?
Not really. I don't have much. I have a lot of affection for Darklight, obviously, because I've been operating the same system for 15 years. And there's not much Darklight memorabilia out there. I have a lot of T-shirts, and some sweatshirts. I have this nifty laser tag 5K.
Ah, very nice.
I got one of these.
Well earned.
Oh yeah. But other than that, really no. My staff every year for Christmas, this was under their volition, and I never ask, and if it stops, that's okay. But they started pitching in and getting me fun things. They got me a laser tag. A New Jersey Devils jersey, and then they got me a bobblehead, and they've gotten me some fun things over the years. So I have personal collections of stuff that my staff has given me as gifts, that I would associate with laser tag, but most people would associate with hockey. But that's because I genuinely care about them and I appreciate them. And obviously, most of my staff is teenagers and young 20s, so it means a lot for them all to pitch in and get something pretty cool for me. That means a lot to me, and it really wouldn't matter whether it was laser tag or hockey related, or really just, I mean, the fact that they appreciate me, that helps encourage me to keep doing what I'm doing, because the staff is, if they're happy, I know that I'm playing a very important role in their formative years, and I'm doing that right. My wife is a high school chemistry teacher, and I know that being surrounded by that environment, teachers leave a really, really good or bad impact on their students, especially chemistry, right? Nobody says, "Oh man, I really loved high school chemistry. That was the best." But I think that the teacher can make all the difference in love for school or love for a specific subject. And I think that my role as an employer of primarily teenagers, I have that same impact. When they're done with school and they decide to get a job and come to work and they work for me, I know they're not going to stay with me forever. The best ones always leave because eventually they outgrow $13 an hour and they have bigger bills and they want to move on because they're in college studying to do something other than brief and marshal. But I know that the kids that I hire and who work for us, they're going to be leaders. They're going to be managers. They're going to be employers. And my genuine hope is that when they are in that position, they remember their experience at Laser One and can take how to build a good, healthy culture with your staff and that model, and try to apply that to their own management habits. That's my goal for my staff, because I know they're not going to stay with me forever. They shouldn't. They need to move on. They need to do their own thing and not just work underneath me for their whole lives. But I know that that's my goal. I don't know how to say that any better. I just want them to take their experience with their first job and hopefully be able to emulate that. You know what I mean? Be the best manager they can be.
Well, that's an awesome thing that you're sending those kids out in the world with. And that kind of makes me wonder, they're obviously getting something out of the laser tag experience, even, as staff versus being customers. But what's the best thing that you've gotten out of the laser tag experience?
Holy moly. I remember when I was a kid, my parents had a fixer-upper house, and watching my dad with his torch and doing plumbing and doing all these things, and I'm like, how on earth does he know how to do that? How does he know how to fix absolutely everything that ever goes wrong? He can just fix it. And I felt when I was becoming a young adult that every now and then I would be encountered with something and I would have to consult Dad because he would know how to do it. And then we opened Laser One, and as the operations manager, when a video game broke or the sink started leaking or whatever the issue was, I had to figure, it was either that or you call a plumber for $120 an hour to come out and stop a leak. I had to learn how to change the nut in the faucet, and how to swap out a hard drive on a computer. And so the skills that I developed as a business owner are to be confident that when something goes wrong, I can look at something and if I can't figure out, or if I'm not qualified to fix it myself, at least I'd be able to see what the matter is, and if I have to call the right person, give them enough information so that they can come in, do their job efficiently, and then get back out, which is great because then the bill is lower. But it also, if I'm calling the same people over and over again, at least they know they're going to come in and their time's not wasted. So I think that what I got out of it most is the confidence and, frankly, the abilities to be able to solve a lot of technical problems. Drywall patches, straight through laser tag repairs, which apparently is, my car wasn't working right, and as simple as it sounds, I recognized immediately this is going to be a fuse. I didn't have to take it in. I just looked it in the book, found the right fuse, and bada bing, and that was it. 4 minutes later, and I'm back in business. Of course, the question is why did the fuse blow? But that's future Jim's problem. But okay, I'll tackle that when it comes, and maybe I'm not a mechanic, but maybe I'll be able to figure that out too. Certainly, I have enough in the last 15 years developed enough skills and enough confidence to be able to look at it and see, hey, is this something that I actually could figure out? And I think that's one of the best things that I took away. Plus, I learned that I really like sales. That's kind of fun. I have started doing the group sales for our facility, and I really enjoy it. That's probably my favorite part of my job, is doing that. So that's also good to know.
Very cool. Well, Jim, I like to end things with a little rapid fire tag talk where I throw questions at you real fast and you throw an answer back at me real fast. You game for some rapid fire tag talk?
Okay, I hope I can keep up. I'm ready.
We'll give you an easy one to start with. Favorite laser tag system of all time?
Well, that's Darklight.
Favorite game format?
Oh, rapid fire. Okay. Team Basic.
Such a basic answer, but okay.
I'm sorry. You make me think. Yeah, I'll stick with that.
Favorite themed event you've thrown?
Ooh, I like Talk Like a Pirate Days in September every year, and we hired the same voice actor to do pirate voices for the Red versus Blue. And I love the voice, the arena announcer voice for that. So that's my favorite. That's absolutely my favorite, is Talk Like a Pirate Day.
Cool. Coolest person you've ever met through laser tag?
Oh man. Well, I think you're pretty nifty. I'd put you on the list. I don't know if you're tops, but you're on there. Honestly, I don't know if I've really ever met anybody famous, but some of my customers have turned out to be really cool people. A Top Hat Joe comes to mind. He's a demolition derby driver. And I've talked to him for hours. I just really enjoy his company. So I would probably say Joe. I don't see him very often anymore, but I really enjoy his company. I like a lot of my customers.
Coolest place you've ever visited because of laser tag?
For theming, Branchburg Sporting Complex has a really cool laser tag arena. They're probably, I'm bad with distance, so I'm going to guess 50 miles from me. They're probably an hour and a half away. We played their arena, and they have some really cool theming. They did a really good job with that. Yeah, so I'm going to have to say that arena was the coolest one I've been in, but I haven't been in as many as you.
Well, and favorite prize you've either won in laser tag or awarded for laser tag?
Believe it or not, that is hands down the trophy that you gave me for our Tag for a Cause.
I'm not even fishing here.
I love that trophy. That is the coolest. It's got a Darklight phaser on it, and it's purple, which I don't think you planned, but the walls at Laser One are purple. So I just really felt like, dude, this is right here. This is the last 15 years, and I'm just really proud of that. I like that. It's right next to my bobblehead.
Your honorary golden phaser.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, Jim, I really appreciate you taking some time to talk tag with me tonight.
Yeah.
Any other final thoughts, memories, stories you want to share that come to mind?
Boy, I as soon as I hang up, I'll think of some more. but that's okay because you have a blog. So if I do, I'll send you a message.
There you go. I'm
maybe
easy
you
to
could throw
find.
something on there. But I got to tell you, I really appreciate you. When you came and visited us for the first time, I wasn't even in. You talked to my manager Brielle, and she left me a note about some blogger, laser tag blogger, like as if anybody actually cares about laser tag, right? But I checked out your blog, and then obviously I had the privilege of meeting you again last year, and then again this year, and I really like what you do for our industry. You would have a better feel for the impact that it's having, but I think that laser tag is, at least for me, it's more than just a job, and it's more than just a sport. But if you have a well-run facility, you're creating friendships that are valuable. I've had staff members stand up in other staff members' weddings who met because I just happened to have hired both of those people. And so there's something special about our industry, and I think that your work really captures that well. And your Tag for a Cause, particularly, I know the first time you told me about it, I was resistant, but I'm glad I took the plunge, because I think that work that you're doing, that's special and that's good. So I appreciate the enthusiasm and the affection that you have for our industry, because it's encouraging. It's cool. I like it. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you, Jim. And thank you for taking some time to talk with me tonight. That's my guest, Jim Mainardi, owner of Laser One in Wantage, New Jersey. And I hope you get a chance to go visit. Thank you so much for joining me for some Laser Unfocused Tag Talk with Tivia. Thanks, Jim.
Thanks for checking out this episode of Laser Unfocused Tag Talk. Listen for more episodes on the first and third Friday of each month. Want to be a guest on an upcoming episode? Find out more and follow my blog and website at TiviaChickLovesLaserTag.com.